Hi there. Alton Brown here in the Mexican restaurant down the street from your house. You know the one in the strip mall, has sombreros on the wall over the cash register, and the TV in the bar is always tuned to the soccer channel. There's a cactus on the outside of the menu and a bunch of numbers on the inside. Oh, and here's a shocker, America. Delicious though that number 16 combo may be, it's about as authentically Mexican as the Frito Bandito. There is, however, one solid piece of Mesoamericana here, the tortilla. Indeed, it could be argued that besides being a staple food for half the planet, this humble flatbread is one of the edible linchpins of human history. Delectable though they are, the average gringo would no more attempt to make tortillas at home than to take up flamenco guitar. And that's a shame, because the tortilla is a truly amazing... Get it? Never mind. The point is, the tortilla is way more American than apple pie. It's healthful, easy to concoct, and versatile as vice grips. And that, gentle viewer, is more than enough to qualify it as... Goodbye. Adios, mariachi guys. Hey, good luck with those music lessons. Bye. Actually, when I said that tortillas are one of the edible linchpins of history, what I really should have said is that the dough, or masa, from which they are made is a linchpin of history. How so? Well, let us consider the curious case of Cortez. Once upon a time in 1519, a certain Spanish businessman/adventurer named Hernando Cortez landed in what is today Veracruz, Mexico. Why? Because he had a serious hankering for gold, which he soon found heaps of in the Aztec city-state of Tenochtitlan, which was, at the time, probably the most splendid city on earth. Figuring he would be a far better steward of all that wealth, Cortez, aided by cannons, horses, smallpox, and a legend that made him out to be a returning god, captured the city's ruler, Moctezuma, and set about decimating one of the greatest civilizations our planet has ever hosted. Had Cortez stopped just for a moment to consider how it was that such heathen savages were able to erect such a bling-encrusted metropolis, he might have discovered a very different kind of gold altogether. Maize. You know, the average Mesoamerican diet was very corny indeed, but unlike the sweet field corn that we modern North American Anglos know and love, the stuff the Aztec lived on was very, very starchy and came with a very thick outer hull, or pericarp, okay? Now, probably 10,000 years or so before Columbus showed up, these early Americans learned that if they
soaked and cooked the maize in water with wood ashes in it, that the hulls would just slip right off.
You notice how I don't even have to thank nutritional anthropologists anymore and she shows up? Okay, I'll bite. What's with the wood ashes?
They're alkaline, of course.
Ah, well, that certainly explains why last summer when I left all those ashes in my grill and it rained a bunch, the bottom of the grill corroded out.
I remember that. But today's Mexican cooks don't use wood ashes anymore. They use cal.
Oh, short for calcium hydroxide, a.k.a. slaked lime. It's used in the construction business to help concrete harden.
But the really fascinating thing about it was that the Mesoamericans thought they were just removing the pericarp. But what they were actually doing was setting in motion this miraculous and amazing phenomenon.
I sure hope you're not about to launch into one of your long soliloquies without the benefit of a visual aid.
Well, check this out then.
Okay. Whoa. Wow. What a sweet visual metaphor representing the many nutrients locked away inside a kernel of corn. I think I'll have a little proline. Hey, what gives? I can't get any of them out.
Nixtamalization is like a chemical key that unlocks all the wonderful nutrients that are locked inside a kernel of maize.
So what kind of nutrients are we talking about here?
Well, for one thing, amino acids like lysine and tryptophan, but most importantly, vitamin B3, better known as niacin. Now, if the Aztecs hadn't had nixtamalization, they wouldn't even have the energy to build that magnificent empire of theirs. And once Cortez showed up, he probably wouldn't even pay much attention to him. He certainly had no reason to destroy their empire like he did.
Got it.
But in a way, they got their revenge because when Cortez and the other conquistadors brought maize back to the old world, they didn't take nixtamalization.
Yeah.
So the countries and peoples that adopted corn as their main grain soon suffered from a terrible disease of malnutrition called pellagra.
What's pellagra do?
The three dreaded D's: diarrhea, dementia, and death.
Well, I guess that's Montezuma's real revenge. Now let's pretend for just a moment that you really want to make tortillas from scratch. First, you'd have to make nixtamal from, say, a pound, about 2 cups of dry field or flint corn, which can be found at health food stores, co-ops, and of course that newfangled World Wide Web information superhighway. Yes, sir. Anyway, first step, wash the corn thoroughly in the sink. You don't have to soak it. You just want to kind of knock all the dust off and move it to a stainless steel pot large enough to hold the corn plus 6 cups of water and 1/2 ounce, about 2 tablespoons of calcium hydroxide. Canners call this pickling lime. Builders call it slaked lime. Mexican cooks call it cal, which I think is a far nicer name. You can get it on the internet quite easily. You're going to bring this slowly to a boil. You want it to take about 30 to 40 minutes. And it is very important that you use a stainless steel vessel and a stainless steel spoon because the cal can discolor metals and it can bleach out wood. So, steel. Got it? When your corn hits a boil, cover the pot, kill the heat, of course, and just stash the pot someplace out of the way overnight. And do not put it in the refrigerator because cold will shut down the chemical reactions that we are counting on taking place here. See you in the morning. As you can see by my new shirt, this is the next day. And you can also see that our lime solution has definitely loosened up the hull on our maize. But you will still have to apply a little mechanical encouragement. I usually rub the kernels under running lukewarm water for 5 to 6 minutes. After that, you'll still want to remove the lime residual flavor. So give it a soak in clean water for about 2 minutes. Change the water and soak it for another 2. Then and only then may you consider the grinding process. Let's see. Blender, not fine enough. Grain mill, fine enough, but it can't handle the moisture. Meat grinder attachment on the mixer can handle the moisture, but again, it's not fine enough. Coffee grinder, bad idea. Food processor, there's definitely some potential there. But you know, any real self-respecting masa master would bypass such modern marvels in favor of a metate e mano. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful engine of masa destruction carved out of 2 blocks of solid lava rock is the final word in corn grinding. Does it take a lot of back-breaking labor just to manufacture enough dough to have tortillas for a small family? Yes, but the purist in me says, you gotta do what you gotta do. Meanwhile, the kind of lazy American male in me says, hey, maybe we should try the food processor again. Shift your nixtamal's location to the work bowl of your food processor and basically just pulse 10 to 15 times for starters. Then just scrape down the bowl a bit just to mix things up. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of water. And process, again, say 8 to 10 times. There, now we will add another 2 tablespoons of water. And time for a little bit of salt. 1 teaspoon of kosher should do the job. Do not leave this out or your tortillas will definitely taste a little on the dead side. And that goes in. And pulse until the dough comes together. Check the dough, just grab a little handful. That's what you want to see. So we will remove this to our favorite work bowl. Carefully extracting the blade, of course, and we'll knead that into a wee ball. If your dough doesn't want to form a nice little ball, just knead in another tablespoon or 2 of water and it'll come around. Now it's important that you wrap this in plastic and let it sit on your counter for half an hour before you start making tortillas because the dough has got to absorb that water. So half an hour, no more and no less. There. Now, if this still seems like too much work for you, most megamarts carry dehydrated ground masa, which can simply be mixed with water to create the dough that we desire. Of course, depending on where you live, you may have an even better option. Excuse me. Although although traditionally crafted corn tortillas are undeniably delicious, they are also trade perishable, ergo, they ship poorly. And that's good, because just about every city and large town in the United States with a Latin American community has a tortilla plant just like this. Now, besides offering truly great tortillas, which I might add, freeze fabulously if left bagged and then double wrapped in aluminum foil, most factories are more than happy to sell you all the maize, cow, nixtamal, or masa dough that you need to make your own tortillas at home. Now, I don't have space for a Tortilla Master 6000 like this in my house, so I will require the services of an ancient mangling device called a Tortilla Dora. Where will I be able to get such a device? Well, I should think any well-stocked dungeon should do. Hello? Dungeon Master? Anybody home? Rubber chickens. Hello? Anybody home?
Greetings, Master. How might I serve your impudence?
I need a tortilla press.
Ah, want to put a little squeeze on something, eh?
Tortillas?
Right, tortillas. Say no more, Master.
Look, if this is going to be some big hassle, I'll just go to a kitchenware store.
That's rich. Come this way. Could Master wish to mashy something up a little old school? Please. Here we have a traditional wooden press. The victim, whatever, goes in here. Then this slab comes down, and the handle applies the pressure.
What else is it good for?
Well, other than eliciting confessions, it's just good, clean fun.
Have anything a little more 20th century?
Oh, yes. Here we have an electric model. Oh, this one presses and cooks at the same time. The only thing this baby's missing, kink, is spikes.
That's what I was thinking. A little too specialized. Anything, I don't know, 19th century?
Oh, yes. Here we have a couple of metal presses. One in aluminum, the other in iron. The aluminum one is nice and light, but not heavy enough to inflict serious damage. Not like our iron friend here.
What's with the funny paint job?
Oh, merely a protective coating. I might also point out, this one comes in a bigger model. Should Master wish to mashy something a little larger.
Well, like maybe a flour tortilla for a quesadilla.
Or a Madagascar cockroach. Slam! Gah!
I gotta go.
Oh, very well. Thanks for coming down.
Oh, yeah.
Drop in anytime.
Oh, sure thing, buddy. Well, a little math reveals that 1.5 ounces would be the appropriate mass for each of these tortillas given the size of our press and the size of our batch of dough. So I'm just going to use this 1.5 ounce scooper to approximate that and lay it out on my scale. Well, 1.55, that's close enough. Just roll them up almost like little wedding cookies and stash under a nice moist towelette. Now, before we can actually get to pressing, we need to make sure that the rest of our tortilla station is set up and ready. We have here, for instance, the hot zone. Now, traditionally in Mexico, the tortillas are cooked on a special either earthenware or thin cast iron griddle called a comal or a comal, depending on where you are. I'm just using a heavy-duty griddle that I have. This one's cast iron, which I like. What's important is that you place it over heat that will allow you to maintain about 400 degrees. That's our key temperature. And the easiest way to figure that, of course, is one of these snazzy infrared thermometers. If you don't have one, just remember that a drop of water looks like this on a 400-degree griddle. You want to see that again? That's it. Now, we've got our hot zone. Moving on over, we have our landing pad, basically a tea towel that will keep our tortillas nice and warm. And, of course, I've got mine on top of a heating pad set on high. Do this and people will call you a geek. Personally, I'm okay with that. Let's get to pressing matters, shall we? Okay, here we have our press, as seen before. Of course, this surface, that paint is strictly for protecting the metal. It's not going to do much for the tortillas, so I'm going to line this with some plastic. Now, this is just a zip-top bag that I've cut the sides out of, and of course, the zip part is gone. So place that inside, grab one of your dough balls, and place thusly. Notice I'm not putting it dead center. pressing it just off to the side near the hinge. Lay over the plastic, kind of press it out with your hand. There we go. And then gently apply the pressure. Just give it a squeeze all the way down, as far as it'll go. And you've got yourself one lovely tortilla. Now, these are rather fragile, so peel the plastic off that way, then put over your hand and lay it over. Now we transfer to the heat. Here we go, we'll go here. There. Nothing's gonna happen right away, but it's only gonna cook about a minute per side. A little jagged exterior there is not a bad thing. It's a homemade tortilla, but if you have any really deep cracks around the outside, it could be a sign that your dough is a little too dry. You might want to knead in a little water and try again after allowing the dough to rest for a while. You know that the tortilla is starting to cook when you start to see steam come out of it, because the moisture inside the tortilla is boiling away. That's something good. That's not smoke, that's steam. The goal here, of course, is to be able to cook 2 tortillas at one time while you're busy pressing the others, but it'll take a little practice. Just work in your tongue and give it a flip. You see there's just a couple of blackened areas where the larger pieces of corn have slightly burned. That's okay. Although true tortillaics will testify to the fact that a good tortilla needs a little more than some salt and perhaps some butter to reach perfection, the success of the taco would suggest that the shape and hand-friendly size of the tortilla make it a perfect delivery device for an infinite number of goods, from the traditional shredded meat and beans to my favorite, fried anchovies and mayonnaise with hot sauce. Hey, Deb, what'd you bring?
Well, a tortilla is a perfect wrapper for these chapulinas.
Chapulinas? What's that, pray tell?
Fried grasshoppers with chili powder, and I brought a whole bowl of them, too. Have some.
Well, it's our lucky day. You know, since fresh tortillas don't have any preservatives in them, they will go stale relatively quickly. But don't despair. Oh, no, you guys have them. Stale tortillas? No problem. Just grab your handy-dandy spritzer. Rawr, and give them a spritz on one side, a spritz on the second side, give them a little rub, and just stack them up and move them down to a 300-degree oven for just a few minutes until they warm up. Of course, this has all been pretty nifty, but the most serious and special top-secret tortilla trick of all time is yet to come. Submitted for your approval. 1 pound of homemade tortillas. Cost about 15 cents. Next, we have 1 pound of store-bought but fresh locally made tortillas. Cost about $1. Then we have 1 pound of Joe's restaurant-style tortilla chips. Price about $3.80. Why the discrepancy? Well, it's sure not the chips, and you know, it's probably not the cost of this baby sealed choking plastic bag. Gosh, it must be the stunning display of marketing crafts. I think that's a big ripoff, and what's worse is that by the time this gets to your home, the chips look like that. It's just not right, I tell you. Luckily, there's something we can do about it. Start by carefully approaching 10 stacked fresh tortillas, either homemade or store-bought if you wish, and cut them into quarters thusly. Now, ordinarily, folks would just fry these, but I don't see why we can't add a little bit of flavor. For instance, if you were to mix 2 teaspoons of kosher salt with a 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lime juice, just whisk that up, well, heck, you'd probably have a solution that was very, very salty and very, very tart. If it tastes really bad, then it's probably a perfect marinade for these chips. Just take your pieces of tortilla, dunk them, then let them dry on a rack for about an hour before you fry them up in 365 to 375 degree oil. They'll cook for 20 to 30 seconds. Take them out when they float up on the top of the oil, or when they start to, you know, turn black around the edges. Well, there you have it, kids. Crisp yet meaty, delicious, salty lime tortilla chips containing no chemicals, well, other than sodium chloride, no preservatives, no artificial anything, and they only cost, I don't know, $1.50 to make. And note this, they hold chunky salsas and weighty guacamoles better than store-bought, which need never darken your kitchen door again.
Hey, Alton. Those mariachis, they remember they had this bar mitzvah to play, so they didn't get to eat their tacos. So anyway, enjoy, bon appetit, and adios.
Yeah, adios. Bar mitzvah. Well, I guess it's just my lucky day. Here's to taking tortillas into your own hands. Not only are they a fascinating link to our true American heritage, they're delicious, fun, functional, and good eats.